like we said, you never know who's going to show up on the D&D live stage. Joe, you've got a special guest. Why don't you introduce him?
I am thrilled to introduce Denny Danczak with Kroger Company. Denny is one of my mentors when it comes to organized retail crime, an extremely valuable resource to the industry, law enforcement, and his team, along with law enforcement, worked on some really excellent cases. But this morning, their team won the Law Enforcement Retail Partnership Award right here at the NRF Protect Conference. Denny, thank you for being here. And can you share a few details about what happened?
Yeah, it's a pleasure, and thanks, Joe. Thanks, Amber.
Absolutely.
We owe a big debt of gratitude to the LA County Sheriff's Office and the FBI. We both were working the case at the same time. We decided to join resources and went after Mr. Suleiman and his organization. And because it was a grand jury case, and some of the particulars, I can't go in to all of it, but without the cooperation of both the FBI and the LA County Sheriff's Office, along with Food for Less and Ralph's, our two divisions out on the West Coast in LA, we are able to bring it to a successful conclusion with his organization being arrested and some of the product being shipped outside the United States.
And Denny, this morning I heard something that rarely happens. The U.S. Attorney's Office was recognized for their superb work and countless hours that they put into the case. When we look around the country and we at other organized retail crime cases, U.S. Attorney usually isn't mentioned, but they are really good partners behind the scenes, right?
They are, and they decided to take the case because of who this organization was, and they took it aggressively. And we thank them for that, because it is rare, like you said, when the U.S. Attorney agrees to take a case, and they agreed to take this one and prosecuted it and allowed the case to go where it went, and took all the pleas.
So what do you attribute to that kind of partnership? I mean, walk us through some of your best practices in getting a partnership like that together.
Well, I think with Kroger, our ORC investigators have law enforcement backgrounds. So when we take a case to law enforcement, it's not a case on a silver platter. It's more going the extra step and communicating with law enforcement, and we talk the same language. I think that's a big asset for us. Our guys have been dealing with grand juries at the state and federal level, and when we walk a case in there, if we bring a case to them, they will take a look at it. And then it's up to them to, because of the partnerships, to take it to the U.S. Attorney in this case, and the U.S. Attorney agreed to take it.
So that's a long-term partnership, commitment to keeping the channels of communication open to be successful, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, because this was a 13-month investigation.
Wow.
I think the other really unique factor, too, is, I guess it's not so unique, but it's exciting to see that local and federal law enforcement agencies work so closely and collaborated for such a long period of time on the case that was discussed this morning, involved the U.S. Attorney. But I'll tell you, and let me acknowledge that Denny's team was called out right up on stage in the audience as being the partner that initiated this case. They'd really started and helped develop the case particulars along the way. And that's really exciting that retailers are acknowledged by law enforcement. It really is a partnership.
Well, it is, and especially when two law enforcement agencies are working on the same case, and they come together and realize each is working on the same target. And so instead of having egos, they work together, and they share the resources with us, and that's how the case gets to fruition. And that's the only way it works, is with the partnerships.
That's right. And later today, Denny will be back joining three organized retail crime professionals, talking about how different sectors and different parts of the industry are collaborating together, working with law enforcement, maybe share some additional case details. Denny, I know you've worked closely with law enforcement in the past, and you've had some unique law enforcement experience. So here we are at the NRF conference in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You've been a big part of the Fusion Center and helping to bring law enforcement agencies in. I know you spend a lot of time with them. What do you get as a retailer? What benefits do you get by visiting the Fusion Center and meeting with the law enforcement folks?
Well, you get to talk to everybody, and you quickly realize everybody is working toward the same goal. They're all working to make sure that we can dismantle the fencing operations, stop the flow of product being exported out of the United States, which shows the need for federal legislation. And you get to interact one-on-one and find out that you really do have a lot in common with law enforcement and the retail community.
That's great. And Denny brings up a really important point, which is the legislative initiatives that are taking place. And later on the agenda today, we have two legislative professionals, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We have John Gold from the National Retail Federation, and we have Jeff Fulmer, Vice President of Loss Prevention with Barnes & Noble. Jeff chairs the NRF's LP Legislative Committee, and John is the point person within the government relations team. When you hear about retailers going up to Capitol Hill and talking with members of Congress about organized retail crime, John is the NRF point person running that effort. We're really excited that he's going to spend some time today with the D&D LP News Network. Denny, you've been a part of these meetings up on Capitol Hill. In fact, you've really helped and educated me and a number of other folks within the industry. What motivates you? What drives the legislation in your mind, and where do we go? Is it state, federal, a blend of both?
We really need federal legislation. We have so many cases. We work either with the FBI or ICE right now or the Secret Service. These cases may start in one town, but they quickly transcend the states, and they transcend outside of the United States. And the only way to really put pressure on these organizations and stop them is to have a federal law which mandates that they can't do this.
And I don't mean to jump in. I kind of do. I told him, oh, now we're wrapping up. But the hashtag people want to know, we have a question for you, and it's personal. Do you care?
No.
They want to know what has been the best networking party? We'll say just networking reception, right? What's been the best one so far?
I would have to say it.
See, it's a secret he can't share.
Last night, and they didn't take any video.
No video.
No video.
Dang, and that's perfect. Bring privacy back. That's my thing,
That's
right?
We would sincerely like to thank
Thank
Denny
you so much,
Danczak for
Denny.
spending time with us before his session. He'll be back just later today with, again, 3 organized retail crime task force professionals. And Denny, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denny.